Let's start this video in a very expeditive manner. It's got everything you would expect a handheld gaming PC to have. It doesn't have extra paddles, but everything else it has. I took my time, I did, thinking they'd address some of the struggles with this, the TJD T101, a device that looks weird, made with bold decisions. Let's give you a good 360-degree view of this thing and let's move on. It's a 10.1-inch panel matched by the WinMax 2 in size and only bested by the One XPlayer X1, a product I'll soon be reviewing should you care. Contrary to the two devices I just named, the resolution caps at 1920 by 1200, effectively bringing a lower PPI, but nonetheless it remains more than sharp enough, being as it is a native 1200p panel and not a downscaled one. In other words, 1200p on this panel looks better than on the WinMax 2, despite being the same size. Also, I have much less scan lines than on the WinMax 2, but the T101 panel is also portrait, which would help in that regard. The build quality feels surprisingly extremely good. It's big boned in all the best ways. It's not light by any means, but I feel like if I was to drop this on a stone pavement, the stone would crack, not this thing. Of course, that's figurative, but my point is, it's built different in the right way. It doesn't feel cheap at all, and if you were to slap any of the boutique companies' brands on this thing, Neo, GPD, One XPlayer, minus the shape, I assure you you'd have no problems believing it was made by one of them with good quality components. And then you power it. Look, don't get me wrong, it plays as it should, it works as it should, but something just feels off, starting with the BIOS. If manufacturers are supposed to tailor the options made available to end users, I see zero reasons to believe that TJD did. They skipped that step. Everything is in there. This thing is unlocked to the point that you could straight up break your device if you don't know your way around. It's that intense. Sure, a BIOS needs to leave options for end users to adjust things to our needs, but there is deep core level stuff in there, most of which I don't even understand, and I doubt the average tech enthusiast would. But the good news is, by having everything, the most important is there, and that's all that matters. UMA buffer is there, VRAM speeds can be addressed, all the good stuff. Then you have a huge battery, 60 watts to be exact. That's amongst the biggest in the space, but unfortunately for me, my unit can't keep a charge if its life depended on it. Well, it kinda does, come to think of it. It doesn't matter that I'm at 100% power. The next day when I power it on, it's completely depleted. The slightly over 2 hours that it gives on full stress with a full battery is only as good as my ability to keep it powered. Let's address the proprietary software. Arguably, it's decent. There isn't much there, but what is there does work. It's better than a lot I've seen. It's also the only way to convert your gamepad inputs to pseudo keyboard plus mouse, much like others, but the options here are extremely slim and they are not customizable. For those who know, iSpace V1 has long been forgotten, thankfully, and this app I'd choose over it. It doesn't have anywhere near as many features, but what is there works. I have not encountered a single issue with the software, not a single crash, nothing. It's just light. Past the gamepad mode, you also have some basic TDP options, a few other basic stuff like addressing RGB, fan curves, show desktop, volume, and screen brightness. Most of what Windows does by default, but laid down more conveniently for a no keyboard lifestyle. The only complaint I'd have about the software is that it can't be navigated with your controller. It's exclusively through a mouse or the touchscreen. Now, of course, things such as WinMotion that comes bundled with GPD devices or Handheld Companion can both be used with it. In fact, I've been using both on this. And for the record, this machine is also not TDP capped, so if you want to push it hard like some do with the Neo Kun, you very much can. The only thing is the diminishing return hits hard, that it's just about pointless to push it past 30-ish watt TDP. Now let's address Windows. Some of you may wish to do a fresh install. It's been documented over IGG that many had issues with the first boot. I addressed some of those in my unboxing hands-on video. When I received my device, it took me hours to get the first boot, and I thought the thing was going to be a brick, but ultimately it did boot. Nonetheless, I had time to reach out to them. That was 4 months ago, and I have yet to hear back. Safe to expect they will not. And that's where all the problems stems from. TJD is not a new brand, not a new company, but they were new to that space, and that is okay. Failure, struggles, hardships, all okay. Whether we want to be angry at them or not, that's a gamble we all take when participating in crowdfundings. What I find to be unfortunate is the sentiment that their response, or lack thereof, transpires. Almost as if they regret their decision, and yet they posted on the campaign about a month ago that they have a new generation of products underway. Their words precisely. When they made that statement, they said they would release the front end, and indeed they have, on Baidu, that requires you to have a Chinese account and a Chinese phone number to register. That or jump through many hoops, but fear not, I was ultimately able to download everything except the recovery installation of Windows. As for drivers, gamepad, firmware, and proprietary software, I'll put a download link from my own private Google Drive so that if anyone needs, you can grab it here. There's really no reason for me to review this device beyond what has already been said, which is that while it has more than meets the eye, for sure, and no, it's not perfect, the sound is okay, the panel caps at 60 Hz, and the rumble is not great, but despite that, it still meet the value proposition mark fairly high, I would say. The ergonomics and overall balance is better than it looks, and overall the price was quite amazing, all things considered. If only they supported it, it would have a fighting chance against many handheld PCs I've tested. I get they didn't find much success with their campaign, but from where I stand, they made their own bed and now they have to lay in it. Say you'd watch this thinking, well, I can address the issues, how much is it? It's zero, because they're not selling this product. They shipped to backers and they decided to stop from there. From where I stand, they should have gotten these T101s in more creators' hand. Don't get me wrong, I would probably faint in the presence of Retro Gamecore or ETA Prime, and these guys don't even know I breathe air. They're like rock stars, and having them talk about the T101 was great. That's what inspired me to get one in the first place. But let's be real, marketing is not about hearing a good ad once or twice. It's about having you so exposed so often that you have to stop in your tracks and soak it in. And then it's up to them to make a product we're getting. Well, TJD, if ever you see this, not only did you fail with your marketing, you failed in believing in your own product, because ironically, that is the one part you actually got good. Then for the few that believed in it, you failed to create communications with them. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't expect to break bread with TJD again. And that is the reason why I am making this video. Because people need to know that when you bring that next device, if they decide to get in bed with you, they are taking that gamble. To be left in an echo chamber with a manufacturer that doesn't consider the outcry for updates, communications, or support. This review will now be put to rest beyond using the 7640U for my benchmark videos, which that might be retired soon. I don't expect to talk about the T101 except if you have questions and comments on this video. Until then, I'll leave you with a few game benchmarks. Thanks for watching. That is Klef for gametechtalk signing out. Peace.
Perhaps you should try to be quieter. A few supplies.
Another one's coming.